Right. So you guys have sent over a ton of articles about this whole TikTok ban and this new app, RedNote, that everyone's talking about.
Right.
It sounds like you're wondering, is this thing really a safe alternative to TikTok?
Mm-hmm.
And what is this whole situation? Tell us about data privacy on social media more broadly.
That's a really good question.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we're going to deep dive into today.
Awesome.
To start out,
you're
probably aware of the Supreme Court decision banning TikTok in the U.S. starting January 19th, 2025.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the concerns about data security and the Chinese ownership ultimately led to that ban being upheld.
So existing users can still use the app, but no new downloads or updates.
Exactly.
And that's where RedNote swoops in.
Right.
I mean, it's already at the top of the Apple App Store charts.
Oh, wow.
People are flocking to it.
Yeah.
And I gotta admit, I'm curious too.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So what's the big deal with RedNote? What is it all about?
RedNote, or Xiaohongshu, as it's known in China, has been popular there for a while.
Okay.
Especially among young women.
So it's like a Chinese version of TikTok.
Sort of. Okay. It's a blend of short videos, lifestyle content, product recommendations, and e-commerce.
Oh, wow.
Like imagine TikTok, Instagram, and Pinterest all mixed together.
That's a lot.
It is.
Looking at it now, it feels very familiar.
Yeah.
Almost like TikTok in the way it keeps you scrolling. Is that intentional?
You're picking up on something very deliberate.
Okay.
The user experience is very similar to TikTok.
Right.
Which is likely a big part of its appeal to those former TikTok users.
Yeah.
And here's where the data privacy concerns come in.
Right.
Both TikTok and RedNote collect a lot of personal data.
Okay, hold on. Before we even get into RedNote, let's talk about TikTok.
Yeah.
Remind me what kind of data they're collecting.
All right, so think about this. Even if you just download TikTok without creating an account, they collect your GPS location, your IP address, device identifiers, even your browsing history.
And I've even heard that they track keystrokes.
Yeah, there have been reports of them tracking keystrokes within their in-app browser.
Okay, I knew they collected data, but I had no idea it started even before you make an account.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
And this brings us to why the data collection on RedNote is raising even more eyebrows.
Okay.
It all goes back to China's National Intelligence Law, passed in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
This law requires all Chinese companies to assist the government with national security matters.
So bad.
Meaning both ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, and Xiaohongshu, RedNote's parent company, could be forced to share user data with Chinese authorities.
So theoretically, any data that RedNote collects
potentially
could end up in the hands of the Chinese government.
That's the worry.
That's a big worry.
And remember, we're talking about data from users globally.
Oh, wow.
Not just in China.
So it's not.
This adds another layer of complexity.
Right.
Because it's not just about targeted advertising anymore.
Right.
But also about potential government surveillance.
Okay, so we've talked about the sheer volume of data.
Yeah.
But what about the content itself?
Okay.
Are there any concerns about censorship on these platforms?
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
While the National Intelligence Law doesn't explicitly mandate that companies manipulate content, there's definitely underlying pressure from the government.
Right.
And this has led to documented cases of content suppression, particularly around sensitive political topics.
Like what?
For instance, information about the pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong or the Uyghur crisis has been removed or downplayed on both TikTok and RedNote.
Oh, wow. So even though the law doesn't directly force it,
we're seeing this censorship in action.
Exactly.
And to add to that, RedNote's privacy policy is mainly in Mandarin.
Right.
Not exactly transparent for English-speaking users, is it?
It certainly raises questions about informed consent.
For sure.
I mean, the policy mentions collecting location data browsing habits, device identifiers, but how facial data from camera use is handled remains unclear.
This whole situation's a bit unnerving. It makes me wonder, is data privacy even possible on social media?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's definitely a challenge, but it's not an all or nothing situation.
Okay.
You know, this isn't just a China issue.
Right.
U.S. giants like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat.
Yeah.
They also collect tons of data on their users.
Yeah, so we're leaving a digital footprint no matter what. Exactly. Every search contributes to that footprint.
Precisely.
And as we discussed, that data can be incredibly revealing. Yeah, the key difference with Chinese platforms like TikTok and RedNote lies in the potential for government access because of China's regulatory environment, which prioritizes state control over individual privacy.
So, we're leaving a trail of data everywhere we go online.
Pretty much.
But that doesn't mean we're powerless, right?
Absolutely not.
What are some things we can do to protect our privacy?
Absolutely. So awareness is the first step.
Okay.
I know those privacy policies are long and dense.
Yeah.
But taking the time to understand how your data is being used is so crucial.
I always wondered, are those policies really worth reading?
Yeah.
I mean, they're so complicated.
I understand that feeling, but they can be incredibly revealing.
Okay.
They outline exactly what information is collected, how they use it, and who they might share it with.
Okay, I'm convinced.
Right.
I'll try to be more diligent about reading those.
Yeah.
But besides that, are there any other tools or strategies you recommend?
Absolutely. One of the most effective steps is using privacy-focused tools.
Okay.
For example, secure email services like Proton Mail use end-to-end encryption.
So even if someone intercepts my emails, they wouldn't be able to read them.
Exactly. Think of it like having a secret code that only you and the recipient can decipher.
That's pretty cool.
What about using a VPN?
Okay, yeah, I've heard those can help with privacy.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure how.
So VPN, or virtual private network, encrypts your internet traffic and routes it through a secure server, making it much harder for third parties to track your activity.
So Proton Mail for secure email.
Yeah.
Proton VPN for secure connection.
Exactly.
Got it. What else?
Here's a simple but surprisingly effective tool. Email aliases. So you can use these instead of your primary email address when signing up for apps or online services.
What's the benefit of that?
It helps protect your identity and minimizes spam.
How so?
So if you sign up for a newsletter with an alias and that website sells your data or gets hacked, your primary email address remains protected.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Speaking of simple things, whenever you download a new app, pay close attention to the permissions it requests. If something seems excessive, like an app wanting access to your contacts or a microphone when it's not necessary, don't be afraid to say no.
I used to just click allow on everything without thinking twice.
I know a lot of people do.
It's scary to realize how much control I was giving away.
And while we're on the topic of data protection, let's talk about the dark web.
Okay, the dark web.
Yeah.
That sounds ominous.
It's definitely something to be aware of. While often associated with illegal activities, the dark web is also where stolen data often ends up.
Oh, really?
After a data breach.
So if a company I use gets hacked, my information could be for sale on the dark web.
It's a possibility.
Okay, good.
But there are ways to mitigate the risk.
Like what?
Dark web monitoring services. Scan for stolen data. And notify you if any of your information is found. Giving you a chance to take action.
So that sounds like a pretty important tool to have.
Yeah, it can be really helpful.
Are there any particular dark web monitoring services that you recommend?
Proton Mail actually includes dark web monitoring as part of their paid plans.
So Proton Mail for secure email, email aliases, VPN, and dark web monitoring. It's like a one-stop shop for digital privacy.
They've definitely made a name for themselves in the privacy space.
Yeah.
And the best part is their tools are really user-friendly.
That's good.
So you don't have to be a tech expert to use them.
I'm starting to feel a lot more empowered.
Good.
Knowing there are things I can actually do to protect my data.
That's the goal.
This deep dive has been so eye-opening.
Yeah.
We've covered so much. TikTok's ban the rise of RedNote.
Yeah.
The wider implications for data privacy.
Right.
Even practical tips. What does it all mean for our listener?
It highlights that whether you're considering RedNote sticking with another platform, or even just browsing the web, you're leaving a digital footprint.
Right.
Every interaction contributes to that.
And as we discussed, that data can be super revealing.
It is.
So it seems like we're at a crossroads.
Yeah.
We love the convenience of all these platforms, but the privacy risks are becoming more and more clear.
It
makes me wonder, what does the future hold for our digital privacy?
That's the million-dollar question. Yeah. Is it something we can even control?
Right.
Or are we headed towards a future where data is just the price we pay for being online?
Yeah.
It's a complex issue.